Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for coming by. I want to talk about Robbie Robertson today, and I watched a video. I started a documentary called Rumble about Link Wray, which I thought was interesting. Native Americans really hadn't gotten their just dues for their contributions to the music scene, and especially rock music. There's a lot of people that contributed that I didn't know their heritage. I recommend it. It's called Rumble, which is the hit song by Link Wray, and it goes into that. It was this stroll type song, and he redefined the power chord. They go on to argue, and that there might not have been Pete Townsend. Pete Townsend liked Link Wray a lot. Then there was One for Brothers, which is about the band, Robbie Robertson. A lot of the information I had gotten was more about from Levon Helm's side of the story. The story goes that Levon thinks that Robbie owed him a lot more at the end of his life for his contributions, and ultimately means he should have got some royalties. Who knows? Who really knows? I think Robbie wrote, from what I can tell, Robbie wrote the songs. A lot of the documentaries and a lot of the information available has been without Robbie Robertson. In fact, I can't remember the last time I saw Robbie Robertson on camera talking, and it was not what I expected. He was really quite well-spoken and soft-spoken, and but the movie, I saw the movie twice, I saw the documentary twice, and it seemed, the second time I saw it, it seemed like they were really making an argument for his songwriting in the band, and which I really didn't see the first time, but it really seemed almost heavy-handed the second time I saw it. Like maybe he felt a little bit more guilty about the situation than he lets on. But Levon ultimately, it's not a character flaw, but the heroin addict is probably very difficult, as the movie pointed out, to be in the band with several heroin addicts, and Robbie was not, and to keep things going. I think the argument is that Levon and the rest of the band arranged most of Robbie Robertson's songs. And I always wonder about renegotiating the terms after the songs become famous, after your lot in life has sort of been planned out, and whether those become more important to you than at the time that they were written or it was done. And I think also that ultimately, if somebody's bitter, somebody's angry at you, like the way Levon Helm was angry at Robbie Robertson, I think it would probably be hard to sort of negotiate or get back with your friend or work something out with them, or even if you wanted to get back with them or see them. If somebody's bitter towards you, it just doesn't really encourage that kind of behavior. The music's terrific. I think I have a new appreciation for The Weight, which I always loved that song. Just really a new appreciation. The religious overtones and the gravitas to the song lives beyond its years and will live way into the future. It sort of hit me, the fact, it may have hit everybody else a long time ago, but the idea that I came in from Nazareth. Robbie explains that Nazareth is the place that Martin guitars are made, and he was just looking at his guitar and said made in Nazareth, and he just thought that was a good place to start. And the last waltz, where they actually played on stage, was really the last time all those guys came together, which is quite remarkable. They never came together again. As Robbie explains it, that he wanted to put it on hold and have, when everybody gets their act back together, that we'll play again. And he says everybody forgot to come back. So I do recommend it. It was interesting. It was interesting to think that the band played. The other thing too is Levon left in the middle of the first tour with Bob Dylan. He was like, "We're getting booed every night. Screw this. I'm going to go work on an oil rig." And then when they got back together, when they had their own band, I just don't think. In the same way, Lennon, I don't know, Lennon and McCartney is different, but it was John's band in the beginning and ended up being Paul's band at the end. And I think it was Levon's band in the beginning and ended up being Robbie's band at the end. It's hard. The creative process is hard. And I also know that from creative situations I've been in, that you don't necessarily get, because you're in a group and you're creating some great work, does not mean when we disband that you'll be able to follow each person in the band to their next success, or that they will follow you to your next success. You're as individuals that's spotted. Do you owe that person? How much do you owe that person for the success you're gaining post this band or something? You know, so it's quite interesting, and I would recommend both those movies right now, and that's good. And I've also been some other things I've been working on are I've been doing a lot of illustrations lately, and I'm really happy with this one. It looks sort of, I remember doing it. It was I used to fill up notebooks with just line drawings I would do in the spot. There was no erasing. It was an ink pen, and they were doodle art, I think is what they call it these days. And this one I did, I remember being going to the art museums and sort of fascinated with drawings and so forth of things that looked mechanical but were really not functional. The idea of an piece of artwork that had mechanical writing on it and was made out of things, and really planning to build this thing that really didn't actually work, or it really had no function to it, but was just being built in the manner of a machine or something of something useful, when it was really not useful at all. I just thought that was really quite fascinating, and I've always been a little bit fascinated with that, and sort of love that idea of just going through the motions of this, of building something. So I did this work, I did this drawing, and I like the palette. I actually looked up a palette to use on one of the palettes, which I haven't been doing. I've been using my own colors from my own imagination, and they're very bright, and I'm not sure very sophisticated, but I enjoy making them. But I've decided to use some different colors. So I use these colors that are a little bit more muted. I think it was actually some sort of a retro, I don't know actually, I'm not sure what where the came from. But anyways, I think these drawings remind me a little bit of Philip Guston, just because they're sort of like awkwardly shaped and sort of very organic. Not to say that I'm anywhere near, Philip Guston. And he sort of stuck in my brain. I remember seeing his work. I think they have something at the Chicago Art Institute, but I know they definitely have stuff at the Met. And it's funny, it always, while looking at, something quite extraordinary, a Rothko or something splashy like a de Kooning or something like that, I think I would always I always had felt sort of a kinship to these Philip Guston paintings. Their awkwardness, they're sort of clunky, and I think this one piece sort of has that in it. I mean, just from a technical standpoint. And I believe Philip Guston is actually having a moment right now. Tate wanted to put up some of his work, but I thought it was interesting that I was looking him up, and he's actually having a moment right now. I've also done a couple more sort of psychedelic looking pieces. That's it. Thanks for joining me. I'll have more later, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.